Hey guys, we are back for Bandcamp Dailies number 34, and this one's going to be a big one. This is going to be Biggie Smalls. That's a thing, isn't it? Biggie Smalls? Is that a thing? I don't know. Maybe I'm just making stuff up. But we have 31 listens, and a bunch of them we've already done videos on. However, obviously a bunch of them we have not done videos on. So we are going to be doing videos on those. Tonight is going to be a popcorn night, but I'm saving the popcorn for sort of in the middle of the video, because one of these listens requires a lot of talking. So I think we're just going to go right into it. I don't really have much of an intro. So we're just, I guess I'll tell you what we're doing. We have to do Vacuum Seal Cranium. We've done this one already. We have to do Handsome Bank Teller. We've done both of these already. We have to do Introversions, Positive Awareness, these three. And we have to do Kansas City New 5. We've already done this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. We have to do Romantic Abnormalities, both of these. We've done this one and this one. We have to do Shard 6. We've done this one. And we have to do Introversions, Positive Awareness, this one and this one. And we are going to do Phonetic Thoughts 9. We've made a video about this before, but I realized today when I checked the video, I didn't let it play all the way through. I don't know why, but I don't know if that was a mistake or if I did that intentionally, but we're going to listen to it all the way through. And we are doing the classic fountain pen. Now, I thought I had already made a video about this one, the classic fountain pen. However, I searched on my YouTube page and it wasn't featured in any of the Bandcamp dailies. And so then I realized, it was probably on one of those other videos I made, one of the Todd Reacts ones. I think where I was talking about probably my most popular Bandcamp songs, like my top 50 most popular Bandcamp songs. I'm assuming this one places within the top 50. And so I did talk about it on that. However, we will talk about it here. And I'm assuming we didn't listen to it fully in that other video. So we're going to listen to it fully in this one. And Cries from a Defective Mind, of course, we've made a video about this one as well. So let's get right to it. We are starting from the bottom as usual. Because Bandcamp does it alphabetically in reverse for some reason. I don't know why, but we are going to start with Vacuum Seal Cranium. Let's try to do this as quickly as possible, because this is going to be quite a long video. I'm assuming it's going to be over an hour, probably maybe even over an hour and a half. Who knows, right? All right, so let's go to Implanted Perceptions. We've talked about this album multiple times. We're going to do the same thing we always do with these. With songs from this album, we are going to listen to the song, then we are going to listen to the tab, and we're going to look at the tab, and then we're going to look at the live video. And so that's going to be really fun. One thing I want to say is was it this morning? Or was it last night? I don't remember if it was this morning or if it was last night before I was going to sleep. But, I always go in bed and have the phone right next to my head. So I'm looking online or whatever, and I noticed that there were a whole bunch of listens on my Bandcamp page, and so for some reason I decided to listen to this song on my phone. I've literally never done that before. No, that's not why. I was going to say because I didn't want it to count towards my stats, but it wouldn't have, because I would have been logged in. So I don't know why I never bothered listening to it on my phone before. I always assumed it would sound horrible on my phone because obviously it doesn't have a very good speaker, because it's in a phone. It's like a phone speaker. It's probably pretty small. So I assumed the sound quality was going to be horrible. And I guess I didn't want to taint the experience for me, if that makes sense. However, for the first time ever, I listened to it either last night or this morning, and it sounded amazing. I loved how it sounded. Now, it sounds different than on my speaker here, but I really like how it sounds. Because I have a criticism about this mix. I couldn't get the mix properly. I feel like the drums are a little too loud, and I always have issues with my mixing because I'm not a very good audio engineer, or whatever you want to call it. But I was listening on the phone, and the phone sort of fixes those problems magically somehow. Anyway, I had so much fun listening to the song. I listened to a few other songs. It sounded great. I also listened to a couple other songs on different albums. I don't remember which ones, but they also sounded good too. So I might have to do that occasionally now. Because I would never test out how it sounded on the phone because I just assumed it would sound horrible. But no, it sounds awesome. So that was a cool experience. It was actually a really cool experience. I'm never going to forget that because as soon as I press play, I'm like, oh my God, this sounds awesome. I was listening on this phone. I think this is an iPhone 7 Plus or whatever. So it's quite old. I also have an iPhone 11 over there, which I guess is also a little newer than this one, but still pretty old. I don't know what they have these days. Both these phones were given to me. They were sort of leftovers from, I think, my stepmom gave them to me because she has the newest one. I don't even know what the newest. She might not even have the newest one. I don't even know what the newest one is, like 16 or something. Anyway, we are going to listen to, which one? Vacuum Sealed Cranium. It's very interesting song title, very descriptive song title. I don't even know what number it is. Oh, so it's track 16. It's IP11. And I listened to it, like, as I said, in bed, so I know what the song is. So let's just listen to it then. Lyrics, so you can read the lyrics if you want. There you go. It's a pretty good song. Now, just a second. I had a little bit of trouble with this song because, the sections are very, very short and they change very quickly. And so it took me a little while to be able to get through the song smoothly, playing it on guitar. But I was able to do it, obviously. And so let's go to the tab. Let's go to music. Let's go to Implanted Perceptions. So this is IP11. So this was written on June the 8th, 2022. Almost 3 years ago. Just almost 3 years ago. And it was the only song I wrote that day. So I did 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Was that 7 days in a row? I don't know, but I did a bunch of days in a row, then I took a few days off. All right, so Blinding White Light. Yeah, so we have some very short measures, and the tempos keep changing as well, and the timings as well, and so it was tricky to be able to play all the way through. There's only 24 measures, which I guess is a lot for a 40-second song, but not that much compared with other songs in this album. But it is a fast song, and so let's listen to the tab. Yeah, it's really hard to get it sounding exactly as perfect as in the tab here because there's a lot of tricky picking and it's very fast. So I had trouble with this one, but I did get it after a while. I don't play it as cleanly as that, obviously, but let's listen to and let's watch the live video. Now, what track number is this? 16, okay. And what's a neighboring song? IP42, Disturbing Emanation. I don't know what that is. Layer of Perspiration. I know what this one is. IP09, I know what that is. IP34, this is a really good one. I hope we do this one eventually because this is one of my favorites on the album. Okay, let's just go straight to it then. Okay, so this is IP09. I knew it with 1 second of music. I knew exactly what the song was. That's how cool I am. That's how much of a nerd I am. Okay, it was about to start. No, it's not this one. Well, what the hell? Oh, I guess it's nearby. Oh, this is 42. Yeah, of course. This is IP42. I forgot which one this one was. So it's after this. Okay, so it's IP09, then it's IP42, then it's IP11. Understood. I actually made a video about this. I posted a YouTube short of IP42 on my YouTube channel. I think I already posted it. Yeah. It was sort of like, if I remember correctly, I mean, I could talk about this if we ever do a video about this one, but yeah, I'll save that piece of information, that juicy piece of gossip. All right, so just try to pay attention. If I remember correctly, I think I played the song pretty well on this live video. It wasn't perfect because of the speed. It's always tricky for me to get it perfect, but I think I did pretty well. But just pay attention to how fast it is and how tricky it is to play, I guess. There you go. I'm sticking my tongue out at the camera, I guess. All right, so there you have it. There's vacuum sealed Cranium from Implanted Perceptions. All right, so let's go to the next one. The next one is, we've done this one, Handsome Bank Teller. This is from all the way back in the year, what was this? 2000, yeah, 2009. 2009. All right, so we're not going to listen to it on Bandcamp because I made a live video about this song. This is one of my first split screen videos. It wasn't the first one. Actually, I think it was the second one. Yeah, because Yes. Yeah. Okay, I'm just trying to piece it together in my brain here. So Handsome Bank Teller came out after Lemonade Breath, correct? Yes. Yeah. Okay. I just had to put the pieces together in my head. Yeah, so the very first split screen video I made was Lemonade Breath. Unfortunately, the video doesn't exist anymore because it was on Yahoo Video, and Yahoo Video went away. And I believe the computer I had the video on died. It was a laptop. And so now that video is gone. I have the audio from the video, which is kind of funny. And that's on my Bandcamp, but I don't have the video portion, unfortunately. So Handsome Bank Teller is now the earliest split screen video that I have on YouTube. So it's kind of interesting. 2009, a long time ago, 16 years ago. Kind of long. Almost 16 years ago, because this was in October, I believe. There is a gigantic backstory about this song. And so that's why I didn't want to make my popcorn yet, because I've got to get through this backstory and then we'll listen to the song and then I'll make popcorn after this. Hopefully I'll remember. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin. Now, Handsome Bank Teller, I don't know what you think about this title. It's not a typical title for my music. I mean, this was in my math rock days. So 2006 was Forever Trapped in Broken Mirror. 2007 was Finkle Me This. So that's when I started doing the math rock business, and up until 2009 and 2010, I think. And then I started going back to the metal area. But I mean, there was still metal incorporated into this, but I guess the song titles were different. However, the song title doesn't mean what you think it means. It's not about some handsome bank teller. It's not about that at all. I wrote this song for my old high school girlfriend. Okay, so the truth finally comes out. I don't think I've ever said that before. Just trying to think if I did, but I don't think I did. So you've heard it here first. You may not have, no one's cared, but now you know. So I wrote this for my old high school girlfriend. I have this huge text file under here. So I'm just going to sort of give you the backstory about this song. Okay, so I mean, I've talked about her before on a couple of videos now. So back when I was 15, or back in high school, between 97 and 99, I guess I was 14 until 16. But I didn't, 14 and 15, 13, I don't even know. 97, that would have been 97. Yeah, 14 until 16. That's how old I was back then. Anyway, I was going out with this girl. I thought she was like the hottest chick ever. And she somehow went out with me, agreed to go out with me, even though I was an idiot. But that happened. And then finally, I had to move away because my family moved away. I'm just giving a short recap. I talked about this in my Q&A video when I talk about my most embarrassing moment. I sort of go into detail about what happened. Anyway, I had to move away. And so then a year later, I moved back because I couldn't stop thinking about her, and I wanted to try to be her boyfriend again. She had another boyfriend. She was not interested. So it was a huge disaster. I was devastated when my family moved away because I couldn't be her boyfriend anymore. And so anyway, so that happened. That was in my most embarrassing moment portion of the Q&A in that Q&A video. And then what happened? So it was a disaster when I moved back. And then, so I moved back to my parents' house and I figured, okay, that's it. I tried to show, I tried to make a grand gesture or whatever they do, that whatever they teach you to do in the movies. I tried to do that and it failed horribly. And so I get back to my parents, and I'm assuming that that's going to be it. You know, I tried and it was a failure, so I have to move on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so she tries, so she called me like a couple times over the next couple years and to like apologize or whatever, but she really had nothing to apologize for. It was me being an idiot. I shouldn't have gone there anyway. But so that's what she did. And then what? And then, oh yeah. And then, so then she started going to university in the same, so I lived in Ontario, and then she lived, and I used to live in St. John's, Newfoundland, which is on the east coast of Canada. Canada's gigantic. And so Ontario is sort of like, I don't know if it's in the middle or not, but St. John's, Newfoundland is way on the east. It's got to be over 1,000 miles away. And so then she starts going to university in the same province as me. Now, she was in sort of southern Ontario. I was a little further north. I think we were probably like 5 or 6 hour drive away from each other. But I would never call her anymore because, you know, I wanted to be her boyfriend. She obviously didn't want that. but she called me to like apologize a couple times, even though she didn't have to. And anyway, she did invite me over to like visit her one time when she was when she was going to university. And I chose not to do it because, you know, I wanted more than she wanted, but I probably should have done it because we probably could have hooked up and that would have been pretty cool. But, you know, obviously I wanted more. And so I'm trying to keep recapping. And so then after that, also, the reason I didn't go was because I was talking to this other girl. I started talking to this other girl online, and I've described the story in my friend zone video about that girl. And that was obviously a gigantic disaster as well. So I'm 0 for 2. And okay. And so meanwhile, you know, a couple more years go by, and so my old high school girlfriend, she apparently she's on Facebook or something. I still wasn't on Facebook by then because I'm not, obviously, if you know me, I'm not a big social media person. Besides YouTube, I have a YouTube channel, but that's it. And but she contacted my sister, and she was asking her to like tell me to get on Facebook and stuff like that. And so I don't know, another couple years go by. And then I finally, in 2009, I finally decided to get on Facebook. So I go on, and then I look at her profile, and so there's like a bunch of photos from her from university, and I guess shortly after university, and she is just looking even hotter. By the way, I forgot. Here's a photo. So this was our last day. I just remembered about this photo before the video. I still had like a couple pictures. I think 3. I still have 3 pictures, and I haven't seen them in years. And then I remembered about them, and I thought it would be fun to take a picture of them and then show them in the video. So I took a photo. I uploaded I downloaded it on my computer, uploaded it to my computer. And so this was my last day in Newfoundland before I moved back. I did eventually move back a year later, but my last day with her as her boyfriend. And so I would have been 15. No. I was 16. She was 15. Yeah. And so this was, that's her. I don't think I said this. I'll say it later. But this was, so that's her. She wrote this on the back of the picture, by the way, and she sent me these photos. And so this was on July 26, 1999, a long time ago. And she said, "Sorry, they're so bad." The photos, I guess. This was at her parents' house in the backyard. And so I was looking pretty good there. I thought we made a cute couple. She was a dancer. She was into ballet dancing and whatnot. I remember going shortly before I moved away. I went to one of her recitals, so that was kind of cool. And I sort of lost my train of thought here. So, so I finally get on Facebook, and I go to her profile, and so I'm looking at her photos from when she was like in university and shortly after university. She's even hotter. And so my brain just malfunctions. My brain malfunctions. And so then I start, we get back in touch a little bit, just a tiny bit. And then I end up writing a song for her just out of nowhere. And so the song stood for Happy Birthday, Tara. And so I wrote her birthday song. I'm like the retarded guy she went out with in high school. And now I'm bugging her like 10 years later. And so I record the song, I make a video of it, I send it to her. Obviously she doesn't care because I haven't talked to her in 10 years. And I don't know, I think she had a boyfriend at the time too. But it was just another disaster. And I just, so that didn't end up working out good. the song, though, I'm really happy with how the song turned out. I just have to sort of read all the stuff that I wrote just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, okay, I got all of it pretty much. Yeah, okay. So yeah, it was not a very good experience, reconnecting, but that was all my fault because I'm so stupid. Once again, just proving how stupid I am. So we're gonna watch a song. By the way, this isn't the only song I've written for a girl. I've written another song for another girl. It was the online girl. I wrote a song for her. I'll talk about it in another video. If we, I think we've already made a video about it. I think it appeared on Bandcamp Dailies before, but I forgot to talk about it. I don't know if I forgot or if I just didn't want to, but I will talk about it in the future. I'm not going to say which song it is, but if someone listens to it again, I'll talk about it. That one has a funny story to it as well. But okay, with that being said, let's watch the video. Okay, so just pretend you're a girl and some guy, some loser guy, some retarded loser guy sends you a video and he's like, "Hey, I wrote this song for you." Oh my God. All right, so let's it's a good song though. I really like the song. By the way, look at my clothes here. I just realized I'm sort of wearing the same thing, aren't I? This was 1999. This was 2009. Wow, that's 10 years. It's not exactly the same. It's different pants and different shirt. I remember this shirt. I love this shirt. I don't know where I got the shirt, but I remember it was my favorite shirt. And I forgot to mention, the night before this was the night we lost our virginity. And so then I go to her place and her mom takes pictures of us, and then I had to move, and I was absolutely devastated. So it was a very sad day for me. It was a very good night and then a very sad day. So it's funny because of the date here. Now I know the date that I lost my virginity. That's really funny. I just realized that there was a date on the picture when I took the photos. I was like, wait a minute. The night before, we did that. By the way, I forgot to mention, let's just read the little thing here. The song started as a melody I whistled. Then the song was written around that. That is 100% true. I was just reminded about that because the riff just happened. So let's try and remember, or let's try to get back to where that riff is. Okay, so the riff coming up is just a melody I had started whistling one day, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. And then I figured out how to play it on guitar, and then I wrote a song around it. So I don't usually do that in order to write music, but it happens occasionally. I don't know if it's happened. It has happened. No, it hasn't. I don't know if I've done it with whistling before, but yeah, I wrote this song by whistling a melody. Yeah, I also listened to this song on the phone as well, and I really liked how it sounded. So I noticed I have a little bit of hair. I know it's a few inches long. So this was 2009. Yeah, this would have been after I shaved my head. So I grew out my hair starting here. Starting here. I had started growing. I'm wearing a hat. I don't know if you could tell or not. My hair is quite short here. I talked about this before, I think, but the hockey team, we were playing a championship game, and in the cafeteria, I got the guys to shave my head with one of those Bic razors. And so in order to try and fire up our team, and it worked because we won the championship. So I take credit for that. But since then, I started growing my hair out, and I didn't cut it for 9 years. In 2008 is when I cut it finally. And so then I started growing it a little bit more, but not at the back. It was just sort of like one of those 90s haircuts. All right, there you go. There's Handsome Bank Teller. Now, if you were a girl and some guy sent you this video, wouldn't you be like super horny after you saw this? And you're like, oh my God, he is so dreamy. Right? No? No? Are you sure? He is so dreamy, or this guy is retarded. This guy is an absolute idiot. I don't know. It's either one of those two. So I guess it depends. Anyway, that was that song. That was a very long segment. Okay, so now I think I'm going to make some popcorn. And and then we have to go to spontaneous synaptic mutations, and we have to go to cassette jams, then we have to go to Forever Chopped and Broken Mirror, then we have to go to spatial lacerations, then we have to go to the classic fountain pen. So we have a whole lot more to do. Okay, so I better do it quickly. We have to get through this as quick as possible because the Handsome Bank Teller segment was very, very long. So I will be right back. By the way, before I be right back, I want to mention we didn't talk about the popcorn last night I had medium yellow. I believe no, medium white, and so that was less hulls or hullish or something like that. Anyway, I mentioned that I'm going to do red. I think I was going to do the red version of the popcorn. Now, I think purple is my favorite, so you know what? Maybe I'll do half and half. Should I do half and half? No, that's stupid. I'll just do. Because I want to do purple, but red looks the coolest. I'm just going to do red. I'll be right back. Hey guys, we are back, and I got my popcorn. It's the red version. It looks very nice. Actually, I mentioned that, even though it's colored popcorn, it always pops up white. However, if you look at the inside where the hull used to be, it does look red. So I guess part of it is colored. And so it smells very nice. Hopefully I made enough. Probably not. We have a lot of stuff to do. Yeah, so like I mentioned, I've written songs for 2 different girls, and neither of them cared at all. So I'm 0 for 2, and I've decided I'm not doing that ever again because it's just... It didn't work. So I'm off of writing songs for girls. Okay, so now we're listening to Spontaneous Synaptic Mutations. We're listening to Introversions, Positive Awareness, and we are listening to how appropriately titled Romantic Abnormalities. Very appropriate after the previous Handsome Bag Teller segment. Okay, so I guess I'll just click on them. Yeah. Will we? Yeah, we're going to listen to the songs fully on here, and then we're going to isolate the instruments for some of the songs. All right. So we've talked about this album before again, by the way. By the way, I mentioned how this is my TV antenna. I just have to check my antennas because tonight might have some interesting reception. So far, there's nothing. It might just be like a really late night type of deal. But, I'm picking up Erie, Pennsylvania, WICU, WSEE. You can see it's 104 miles, and WJET. So there's something. But that seems to be it so far. So that's not a big deal. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway. So now we have to figure out which numbers. So we have to do 430, 431, 983, 984, 986, 987, and 990. Okay, so we have songs from two different... So we talked about this album in multiple videos. And so this album has 490 songs. 490 songs. Now, the vast majority, the majority of this album is completely improvised and randomly arranged, just like with some of my other music. And so it's just complete, utter nonsense, nonsensical, unlistenable. I like listening to stuff like this, where it just sounds insane and just ridiculous, because I find it fun to try and sort of isolate the instruments in my head, not by doing it manually in the Reaper project, just by trying to pick apart the song with all the instruments together. And so I've talked about this before. This album is split up into 5 different, not chunks, but 5 different groups. So the first 100 songs, the guitars do something they're separated into groups in the sense of how I approached recording the guitars. So for the first 100 songs, it was literally, I did whatever I wanted. I did whatever I wanted for the drums on all 490 songs, but for the guitars, for the first 100 songs, I also did whatever I wanted. There was no rule. And then, so we're going to be listening to the 400 block, which is the Romantic Abnormalities section. And so what I did for this grouping here with the guitars, I only played notes within a certain scale. And so I thought that would be cool, but this grouping ended up being the worst one on the entire album, in terms of the final product. I wasn't very happy with it. I didn't think it sounded very good. I don't know, maybe I had to choose a different scale, but I thought it would be better, but no, it ended up not being that great. So, but now I didn't go ahead. I didn't peek ahead and listen to the songs that we're about to listen to. So this is going to be a surprise for me. And the other songs, the songs in the 900s. So yeah, the Introversions Positive Awareness. Now I called this Positive Awareness because for these songs, I actually wrote the guitars to go along with the drums. All of the drums are improvised and all over the place. But for 901 until 990, I guess, I listened to the drums when I was in Reaper, and I wrote guitars to fit with the drums. Sometimes they don't fit very well, it's very loose, depending on how ridiculous the drumming is. But other times it sounds like the song was written that way, and it's very tight. I'm pretty sure we're going to hear one of my favorite songs. I'm not sure because I didn't listen ahead, but I'm looking forward to doing this. So let's go to track 430. No. I don't know what number this is. This is track 230, but it's Romantic Abnormalities 430. So just keep in mind, this is all improvised and it's randomly arranged. None of the instruments know what each other is doing. It's just completely nonsensical. And so that's why this album is fun. So let's listen to 430 and 431. Okay, so I did remember both of those songs, so that's kind of funny. I guess those are one of the two of the better songs in this grouping. So that's good. All right, so now we're doing Introversions, Positive Awareness, number 983, 984, 986, 987, and 990. So 983. All right, so let's take a look-see, take a listen-see. Yeah, so obviously we're not going to be isolating the instruments on these ones because the guitars are both playing the same thing, and they're also playing along with the drums. So the song sounds like it was written like this, but no, the drums were completely improvised, and then I wrote the guitars to fit along with the drums, and it sounds very tight. I really like this song. That's unfortunate. We didn't get to listen to the ones that I liked, like the ones that I really liked. If I remember correctly, 988 is one that I really like, and I think 989 is a good one too. 990 I don't like very much. That's the last one we're listening to. All right. So for this grouping of songs, how I wrote the guitars along to the drums, at times it was quite challenging to be able to play along with the drums because the drums are just so random and ridiculous. And so when they became just way too random, I sort of wrote more loose sounding guitars so that it wasn't super in sync with the drumming. Whereas other times I made it really in sync with the drums, and when I did that, at times it was very challenging in order to do that because the drums are really fast, they change a lot, and so even though the songs are only 16 or 17 seconds long, there's a lot of stuff going on in between just that small space of time, and there are a lot of riffs as well sometimes, and for these songs, I played them all the way through in a full take, so I had to be able to play for 16 seconds with it, and I had to be able to play along with the drums. So it was challenging. I remember doing this back in the music room there. I did it over a bunch of days, and I would just go over there and listen to the drums and try and write music along to it. I don't know how many days I spent doing that. I could find out, but I do remember doing it. Some of these songs are really good too. Some I really like, and I'd like to be able to sort of expand on them because they're only 17 seconds long, but there are some really good riffs in some of these songs. I thought we were going to get to some of my favorite ones, but unfortunately, we didn't get to it. Either way, we are going to open Reaper, and we are going to isolate the tracks for the two Romantic Abnormalities songs. So let's open Reaper. Let's close that. Let's do this. Now, let's close all projects. Let's go to open. Okay, so where would it be? It would be in music. It would be in spontaneous. Where is it? Oh, it was right there. Okay, then we want 400. I have not opened this, so I'm assuming it's the newest one. All right. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to remove the floating mixer. I'm going to add the normal mixer. And is the master here? I think it is, right? Yeah. No, it's not, is it? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right, so we have 430 and 431. Let's see if we can find out where those are. Here's 30 and 31. All right, so let's just make sure that this is it. It is. Okay. Let's just zoom out once. Okay, perfect. So we have to, we'll just do the drums first, as always. By the way, we have to center both of the guitars. Okay. And we will solo the drums. That was a good one. That was very fast-paced. All right, let's listen to guitar number 1. I really liked it, except for the very last chord. I didn't like that transition to the very last chord. The first chord, the second chord I liked, and then the third one I did not like. All right. So I like 2/3 of that. And this is the other one. So this one has a bunch of palm mutes. I can tell from how the wave looks. And also, I looked at it, and it reminded me of how one of the guitars sounded. I like that track. All right, so there you go. I think, you know, with these songs, maybe the reason this grouping didn't work out as I had hoped was because part of the fun is that everything's just like random and all over the place and nonsensical. But because they're all playing in the same scale, maybe you lose part of that. You lose part of the insanity and part of the nonsensicality. I thought that would be a good thing, but no, it ends up not being a good thing. So I'm not going to do that again. I might, though I think I did say I might have to change I might have to use a different scale. All right, so let's listen to 31. What? That one was a little more laid back, at least at the beginning. with the double bass riff. All right, let's listen to the guitars on this one. Okay, so I believe that was a trill. Had a trill going the whole time. That's kind of interesting. You had the trill going the whole time, then you keep moving on the lower strings. Kind of sounds like there's two guitars, but there's only one. All right, that was kind of boring. Yeah, it's much better because you're sort of, because you have to play in the same scale, you're sort of confined. You don't have the freedom to do whatever you want. So maybe that's another reason. Either way, there is Spontaneous Synaptic Mutations. All right, so let's close Handsome Egg Teller. Let's close Spontaneous Synaptic Mutations. And let's go to the next song. All right, so now we're back to Cassette Jams. We're doing Kansas City New 5. All right, so once again, this was the same age as I was here. That's kind of funny. Yeah, you could tell my hair was shorter here because it had just started growing back after we won the championship. It wasn't this. No. This was different. This was a year earlier. Yeah, this was a year earlier. Sorry, I forgot. This was not the high school hockey championship that we won. So this in this picture, I'm a year younger than this guy right here. Okay. I'm pretty sure this picture is going to be like the YouTube thumbnail. Okay. All right, so what are we doing? We are listening to the 5th Kansas City. I did listen to this beforehand to remind myself what it was. So this is, we've talked about this in multiple videos now. This was in the year 1999. This was after I moved back to Sudbury. So this was just a few months after this photo was taken. So I moved back to Sudbury and I started hanging out again with Ken, and I had met Dave for the first time. We started hanging out as well. Dave played drums, Ken played bass and also guitar. And so Dave brought his drums over and to my parents' place. And then for some reason, Dave wasn't there. I think this was the next day. Dave wasn't there, and I don't know why he wasn't there. Ken came over, and I believe we smoked a joint, and then we decided to jam. Now, because there's two of us, one of us wanted to play drums, but neither of us played drums. We were not drummers, but it was very, very fun. I still remember doing the jam session. It was very fun. And so in this one, it's me. I'm playing drums. This was the first time I ever played drums, by the way, in any meaningful capacity. And it was very bad, very sloppy. And then Ken's playing guitar on this. He had played guitar quite a bit before. He was mainly a bassist, I guess, but he was experienced on guitar as well. So this is Ken on guitar and me on drums. Ken does some really nice soloing on this, actually, guitar soloing with tapping and whatnot. And he's actually following along on a scale, and it sounds very good. Whereas me, I'm just hitting random stuff. I guess this part he's not in a scale. He's just doing random stuff too. All right, there you go. Kansas City, New 5. Ken did very good on that song, guitar-wise. My drumming was just random nonsense, but I still remember doing that. I had a lot of fun. This is what made me fall in love with the drums, I guess. I mean, drums are so fun. They're the most fun. They're more fun than guitar because you just get to hit stuff. You don't have to worry about a melody. It's just rhythm and so much fun. So much fun to play drums. So with that being said, let's go to the next one. What is the next one? The next one is Shard 6. So we talked about this. Shard 6, where is it? It's up here. We've talked about this album, actually. I don't know if it was the previous video or not, but this is from the year 2002. This was the first Forever Trapped in Broken Mirror demo. And so Shard 6, this is another song I listened to on the phone while I was in bed, and it sounded really good too. So Shard 6 was also known as Part 4-4.1. So you can see I didn't talk about this in the previous one actually, but in the previous video, but you can see some are called shards, some are called parts. The one that are called parts is the reason for that is because not all of the songs got added to the final version of Forever Trapped in Broken Mirror that was released in 2008 by Blood Bucket Productions. I guess I released it in 2006, or at least I was finished it in 2006, but I had to cut some songs because there were too many songs to fit on a CD in terms of length. So the CD was going to be too long, and so I had to cut it down. So I cut a bunch of these songs from it. And so, however, but before they were called shards, they had a part number. So Shard 1 was Part 1.1, Shard 2 was Part 1.2, and then it goes to 1.3, 1.4, 5, 6, and then it goes to Part 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. Shard 3 is 2.4, then 2.5, 3.1. Shard 4 is 3.2, Shard 5 is 3.3, and then Shard 6 is 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think I got up until over the 20s for part numbers. Each part was sort of had a similar feel. So if there were multiple, so there are multiple songs in the part 2, right? There's like 5 versions of the part 2, not 5 versions. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but they sort of have things in common. And then I went to a different part. I upped the number to part 3. All the ones in part 3 have a similarity to them. Same with part 4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're listening to part 6. This is part 4.1. This is a very good song. I really enjoy. This is one of my favorite songs from this Forever Trapped from Broken Mirror demo from 2002, if not my favorite. This probably was my favorite. This is a melodic song as well, which is kind of interesting because I feel like there's not a whole lot of melody on this album, but there's some of it. Including this actually, no, I was going to say this song, Shard 6, features the acoustic guitar, my acoustic guitar that I showed prominently in my previous album, The Last Breath of the Dying from 2001. And it appears on Shard 6 as well, but it also appears on Shard 7. I thought it only appeared on Shard 6, but no, it also appears on Shard 7. And however, it's sort of at least with Shard 6, Shard 6 is a very fast song. It's very, very fast paced and intense song. And even with the acoustic guitar is just there to add, it doesn't like get mellow and then there's acoustic guitar. The acoustic guitar is part of the intensity. And it sounds really good. It's a very short song. You can see all the songs are short on this album because I talked about that in the previous video. As soon as I finished recording The Last Breath of the Dying, I wanted to make, faster songs, more brutal songs, shorter songs. I wanted to repeat riffs less, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we have a whole bunch of short songs. I wanted to make an album that had a ton of songs on it. So let's listen to Shard 6. Right off the bat, there's your acoustic guitar added with the electric guitar. Sounds very good. Those vocals, there are no lyrics. I'm just making noises. All right, there you go. I love that song so much. I used to listen to it on repeat. It's a very fun song. By the way, all the songs on this album have programmed drums. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, this was before I started playing drums officially, and like before I think I had started. I started in 2002, but I was horrible, and so obviously, I think actually a couple of these songs do have actual drums on them, but they're sped up. And it's more of a, I want to use that word that I still can't remember. The last couple of videos, there was this word I was trying to think of, and I still haven't figured it out what the word is. And it's really bothering me. Anyway, so that's that song. We are going to listen to the tab. I have a tab, and we're going to listen to it. So let's go to tabs. I think it's in here. All right, so it's part 4-1. Here it is right here. Now, I listened to this earlier today, and it uses this was back when I still used the electric guitar or the distorted guitar instrument. I since switched over to the electric piano because I think it sounds way better, but we're just going to listen to just the tab as is. I just want to see the date. This is 12/20/2002. Yeah, so this isn't the actual date. This may have been when I like created the tab, but I wrote the song earlier. Yeah, because part 1-1, it was recorded in 2001. It's quite possible that I didn't, like this was still, because back then I used to make tabs of my music as well. But I think I was still using my brain, like my memory, to keep track of my riffs as opposed to, tabbing them out as I was writing them. So I think I tabbed them out like either after the song was recorded or after I had already like written the song. These days I do it at the same time, so I know exactly how the song goes. All right, so let's just listen to this song. All right, there you go. There's the tab. It's a tricky song to play. I mean, all these songs are very fast, so back in these days, I really had something to prove, and so I was trying to write songs that were really fast and really difficult for me to play, so that I could keep improving. I practiced the songs a lot and just keep improving. But there were a couple songs that they were beyond my ability. I never quite got there. So. All right, so what are we doing next? I think we did everything there. Okay, now we're on to Phonetic Thoughts 9. This is from Spatial Lacerations. So we only have 2 songs left. Wow, we're doing pretty good. I'm assuming we're doing pretty good. So we're 31 minutes in. I think we're doing pretty good. I'm assuming the first part of the video was quite long because of the Handsome Bank Teller segment. But what can you do, right? So we are going to click on Phonetic Thoughts 9. All right, so Phonetic Thoughts 9. Phonetic Thoughts, there's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 3. So track 11, track 22, 33, 44, 55, et cetera, up to 99. Those are all the Phonetic Thoughts. So they sort of, they break up all of the death metal, death grind, whatever you want to call it, grindcore, black metal, et cetera, songs. And so this is the very last one. This is the longest song on the album, 2 minutes and 20. I think it's the longest song on the album. And so this is an ambient noise song, dungeon synth, I guess you can call it. I recorded this on my laptop, actually. So on the laptop, I did download a bunch of VSTs to use in Reaper. They were like ambient VSTs. They sounded really good, actually. I don't use those anymore. I use a keyboard now, but they sounded really good. I'd like to get them again if possible. And I also set up my keyboard, my laptop, so that I set it up so that my laptop keyboard, I was able to bind the keys on my keyboard, and I created. I turned my laptop keyboard into a 4-octave music keyboard that I used to record with the VSTs. Now, there's an unfortunate thing. There was a delay when I would record with those VSTs, but they were like ambient noise, so it didn't really matter. It's not like I was playing piano or anything. It was just sort of sound effects, and not sound effects, but soundscapes, I think is what I wanted to call it. And so I used a bunch of different VSTs on this song. This is a very epic song. I really liked how this sounded. There's also some extra sound effects going on with some pick scrapes, and then there's like some feedback that I throughout all of the Phonetic Thoughts songs, some feedback that I pitch shift, and it sounds like waves. It sounds really cool. I haven't done that before since then, I should say, but it was very prominent on this song. Now, this song, Phonetic Thoughts 9, this appears in multiple videos that I've made, usually as music. One of them, I don't know if this was the first one, but in my Balloon and the Guitar video, there's a montage in like the middle of the video where it's very dramatic, and it's about my life getting turned upside down because there's a balloon in my guitar, and I end up getting divorced. My daughter hates me, and I spend 5 years trying to get this balloon out of my guitar, and there's this montage of all of this happening. It's a musical montage, and the music in the background is Phonetic Thoughts 9. It's very, very epic and dramatic song, and I thought it fit perfectly with the mood for that section of the video. And I believe this song is also featured on my cookie video, my famous boring chocolate cookie video. When is it shown? Oh, it's when the cookies are cooling down, and I'm doing another dramatic panning over the cookies, and it's all dramatic. But I don't know if it probably does appear on another video. I can't think of what other video it appears in. Anyway, let's listen to the song. Yeah, there's one part in that montage, in the balloon and the guitar montage, where I get a card from my daughter, my fake daughter, and it says, "To Dad, I hate you, from your daughter." And so I open the card, I read it, and then I look at the camera, all sad. I think that's one of my favorite parts. I thought that was really funny. Because I'm neglecting her because there's a balloon in the guitar. And I'm obsessed with this balloon in the guitar. And so I'm not paying attention to her. I'm not paying attention to my wife. My wife divorces me. My daughter hates me. All because of the balloon. The balloon in my guitar. All right, there you go. I love that song. It's a very good song to listen to on repeat. By the way, we have a hockey game on. I forgot to mention that. We have Game 4, Florida against Carolina. Florida's winning the series, leading the series 3-0 right now. And so if Carolina loses, then they're out of the playoffs. So this is round 3. And right now, Carolina is winning the game 1-0. And there's 8 minutes left in the game. So they might survive. All right, so there's that song. We have one song remaining. Hooray. We're getting through the video. The only thing I hope is that the video is under 2 hours. Because I feel like, I don't know. I don't even know if anyone watches these, but okay, so the classic fountain pen. I was just remembering about Handsome Bank Teller. So Handsome Bank Teller and the classic fountain pen, like this was back in the days when I was on MySpace. And so that was pretty much my band's webpage, MySpace. And so whenever I would come out with a new song, it wouldn't have any artwork. I would just upload it to MySpace, and then you could play it with the MySpace music player. And so that's why, albums like this and like Handsome Bank Teller, they don't have any artwork. So this was another one of those. Now this is 2008. So this was 2008. What was I going to say? Okay, let me just read what I've written here. So, yeah, okay, I'll read the thing here. This song is when I started to strictly record without using overdubs and fixing mistakes, instead recording the drums and guitars in a full take. Considering I rarely ever play live, I felt I should at least make my recordings live. I had written the song on a classical guitar, so I recorded with it. I also turned my snares off to make it truly unplugged. Okay, I think I don't even know if there's keyboards. Maybe there is keyboards, but it's very, very brief. I think that's the case. Okay, so I was trying to make, so the song structure on this is quite elaborate. And what I was getting at was, because I rarely ever play live. And I don't think I've ever really played live my like Time of Death or my Nostril Cavern stuff. It's only been playing with Dave, our Cora Canning stuff. And so because of that, I felt like I should, try to record my albums more like in a live setting, considering I don't play live. So with this song, I specifically tried to, record the guitars and the drums in a full take, without doing any overdubs or anything like that. I didn't use like heavy overdubs in previous music. I used them sometimes, but I wasn't, I pretty much start recording, and if I made like a really, really bad mistake, I would stop recording and then I would just continue from where I left off. But it wasn't like I would try to make it sounding super perfect, super overproduced and all that sort of stuff. But for this song, I really wanted to try and make it sound live. I wanted to have that live sound. And if there were any mistakes, then I'd just leave them in. And I always left mistakes in my music, but if they were like really, really bad mistakes, I would just stop recording and then I would continue recording from there. But there are mistakes sort of all over my songs. I forgot to point one of them out in the previous video for Shard 1, but it was very minor. And so that's what I tried with this song. And it ended up working out really well. I did do a lot of practicing. This is almost a 6 minute long song. So it's quite long. And the song structure is it's pretty elaborate. There are a lot of different parts, a lot of stuff to memorize, but it was fun to do. So at this point, this is 2008. I was living in Oakville. I talked about this in my Big City Todd video, living in Oakville, because that's when I would go over to Pizza Nova. I would bike over to Pizza Nova to get a pizza with chicken, bacon strips, and mushrooms. Oh, good God, that was very good. And so that's when I wrote this song. And just like I mentioned, I wrote it on a classical guitar, not an acoustic. So I have an acoustic guitar and a classical guitar. This was written on the classical guitar. I don't know why. I don't remember why I wrote it on the classical guitar. Writing music on like either an acoustic or classical, it does sort of change how you write the music, and you sort of write it differently to you write it for what you're writing it on. But I had planned on recording the song with my electric guitar, but I finished writing the song and then I just figured, let's just record it with the classical guitar as well. So there's no distortion. It's classical guitar. There are blast beats on the song. The song is intense at times, quite intense at times, and yet it has the classical guitar sound. So it's sort of atypical, I guess you could say, slightly abnormal. And like I mentioned, I turned the snares off on my snare drum to make it truly unplugged. So I know the band Hella did that as well. I think that's probably where I got the idea. And what else did I read in here? Or did I write? I think that's it. Yeah, and so there's only one other thing that I mentioned. So I'm going to start playing the song right now.
Imagine doing this with your best fountain pen.
Okay, so we have a sample at the very beginning. We have a couple more samples as well. So imagine doing this with your best fountain pen. So back in these days, 2008, I used to watch late night poker, Texas Hold'em, No Limit, whatever, it would come on late night. They would have the poker shows. I remember watching those. They were always quite fun to watch. There were some very good hands with Tony G and Phil Hellmuth and back in those days. And so I was into poker, and then, because it's late night, it would go to commercial. And there was this infomercial that would come on a lot, and it was for a fountain pen. A literal pen, a fountain pen. And it was this guy's advertising the pen. He's like just making the pen sound really good. But I always found it hilarious. Just like the infomercial itself was so funny because it was just a pen and they're advertising a pen in between poker. And it was so funny. He was so genuine about it too. And I always thought it was hilarious. It made me laugh. And then one day I decided that I was going to record the audio from it. And so I did that. I recorded it on, I don't know if I recorded it onto cassette or if I recorded it onto my computer or not. Probably my computer, because this would have been 2009. But so that's what I did. And then I was able to cut up a bunch of samples from that infomercial, from the commercial, and use it in this song. And so whenever I hear this guy talking, it always makes me laugh, because I used to always laugh when I would see the infomercial during the poker. By the way, the sound quality is quite bad on this song, so don't mind that.
Then doing this.
Yeah, so I mean, with the sample, it's like the sample's describing what the music's doing almost. So it says, imagine doing this with your best fountain pen, and then the music starts playing. Like, imagine playing this music with your best fountain pen. And then he says, and doing this. And then it goes into another riff. So far, the music has been quite intense. And it sounds kind of interesting with the classical guitar mixed with the intense drumming. By the way, I really like this song still. This is one of my, not my favorites, I guess, but yeah, I'm really proud of this song. Proud of my performances on this song, and this was a very good stepping stone for me as a musician.
This is the classic fountain pen.
Oh yeah, it also had like this this classical music in the background of the commercial. So it was trying to be all fancy and stuff. I think this song would also sound cool with electric guitar. I mean, I always planned on recording it with electric guitar. I ended up using the classical guitar, but it would sound cool. There's your keyboards. Yeah, there's a lot of blast beats on this song. Oh, there's your keyboards again. I'm pretty sure those keyboards are, yeah, they're programmed. Yeah, it says keyboard programming. I should have written keyboard programming in the credits here, because I'm not playing the keyboards. They're programmed in PowerTab. I mean, I could play them. They're very simple keyboards. It's just I didn't have a keyboard at the time. And so I just used Power Tab. Yeah, I just remembered. Yeah, so I was inspired by this band called Normal Love. They're like, they released an album in 2006 or 2007, I think. And it's probably my favorite. It's in my top 3 best albums ever. It's called 2007, and I discovered it because one of the guitarists, I liked him in a previous band called Thought Streams. The guitarist is Alex Nagel. And I remember searching his name or something and came up with this new band that he was in. And I listened to the music, and it was very, very cool. It took me a few listens in order to sort of to get into it. But I was inspired by that music. I don't know, like this music's not really similar to that. It is in some ways, but I was definitely inspired by that. And so the next part of the song, it gets a little more, I don't know what the word is, but like the song changes here. More keyboards. All right, there you go. And so that's going to be it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you've watched it, I almost finished my popcorn. There are a couple little small pieces that I'm going to finish, but I ended up making the perfect amount. So that was pretty good. The red popcorn's very good. Next time I'm going to have the purple popcorn. The purple popcorn. Nice, some nice alliteration there. So yeah, I don't want to drag this on too much. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.